Hey guys, AwesomeGamer197 here, back with another video, and today we're going to be looking at my retro game console setup, and also a couple channel updates. From here on out, there will be a schedule. Every Monday will be Minecraft videos, every Wednesday will be Nintendo-based videos and retro gaming-based videos, and every Saturday will be a random video of my choosing. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Alright, let's get into it. This is an early version and there are still consoles to be added. But we're going to kick things off with the oldest console on this setup, the Nintendo Entertainment System, circa 1985. Here in America, 1983 in Japan with the Nintendo Family Computer, or Famicom. And this console is known for games such as Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, and 3, Metroid, Zelda, Punch-Out, Contra. They're also known for various crappy games, such as any game really by LJN, Acclaim. There are also companies that produce bad games, but some good, like HAL Laboratories with Kirby. But after NES, HAL Laboratories became like extremely good. But anyway, this console, traditional NES look, obviously. There's no game in it, but it doesn't blink. And that's because I have disabled the NES 10 chip. So that is the NES. And now I will proceed to show gameplay of a couple games from the Nintendo Entertainment System. Of course, we're going to kick it off with the game that started it all, Super Mario Bros. On the Nintendo Entertainment System. This game was bundled with the Nintendo Entertainment System base set and deluxe set back in 1985 and 1988. The 1988 version for the action set comes with Duck Hunt included on the cartridge. And that's the version I'm playing right now. As you can see, it's a basic platformer, but it was followed by 2 sequels on the NES that improved upon it greatly. Alright, that's Super Mario Bros. Time to move on gameplay for the next game. Next up, we have another staple, developed by HAL Laboratory Incorporated in 1993, Kirby's Adventure. This is the NES sequel of the game developed for the Game Boy, Kirby's Dream Land. And as you can see here, I'm pretty much at the end. But in this game, King Dedede has stolen the magic wand that develops the dreams for Dreamland, and Kirby must go through several worlds to get them back, and to defeat King Dedede. And just like Super Mario Bros., it spawned popularity for a whole new series of games to follow, and would later be re-released on the Nintendo 3DS as a 3D version in the 2010s. And that's Kirby's Adventure. Now we'll move on to the last big staple that the NES produced back in the 80s. Ah yes, you guys knew this one was coming. The Legend of Zelda. Originally released in 1985 on the Famicom Disk System, and 1992 on a regular Famicom cartridge. It was brought over stateside as the very first video game to ever be able to hold an actual save file, here in 1986 with the very first battery backup video game. Now, because this game's a bit dark, there's a little glare on the screen, but don't mind that. Hopefully you guys can still see the gameplay. But this game was capable of holding 3 save files, and a unique feature too. At the time, they thought it would be too costly, but they tried it anyway, and the game became a huge success, spawning multiple series of games and creating a timeline that is still to this day very confusing. This game probably has about 20 sequels, and God knows what order they're supposed to go in. This was followed up by the direct sequel, The Legend of Zelda 2: Adventures of Link, and a prequel in 1992 for the Super Nintendo titled A Link to the Past. And in this game, Zelda is kidnapped by the King of Evil, Ganon, and hidden away in a dungeon so hard that if you didn't have all the right stuff, you would get defeated easily. But this game featured saves, and what would happen is if you beat the first quest, it would unlock a special second quest. Or if you type Zelda as your profile name, you could skip to that quest automatically, which was a very cool feature. This game was later re-released in '92 alongside A Link to the Past, along with Zelda 2, and a special gray cart, which was odd because usually most Zelda games at the time still came in the gold cartridges. But in order to save this game, if you didn't have a second controller, you had to die and get game over. And then you could save or retry. And there's that information there. You must, no matter what, on the NES to save games with or at least Zelda and Zelda 2, you have to hold and reset while you turn off the power or it corrupts your data. Unless the game had a special MMC5 chip which allowed you to save and power off without holding reset, such as games like Final Fantasy, Kirby's Adventure, the list goes on. But this was the first game, and it spawned a hugely popular series that still to this day they make games for. And that's it for the NES, so let's move on to the next one. Alright, next up on the list, we're going to do the NES's successor, the 1990 to 91 Super Nintendo Entertainment System. This console was retail available from 1991 to 1996, when the Nintendo 64 finally released. This console is 16-bit, the NES was 8-bit, so the graphics were much more faster and much more capable. Now notice, two different controller ports, different type of controller ports. The NES is a different type, so nothing on this console was compatible with NES hardware. This console featured a power button, a reset button, and a new eject button. This console is a top loader, unlike the NES predecessor, which means games almost never, unless they're dirty, really dirty, have a problem running on a Super Nintendo. So this console's options, just as the NES was, composite or RF, channel 3 or 4. And this is the same thing, RF frequency 3 or 4 channel. Or you could use composite cables, which came bundled with the console back in the 90s. And the NES's console was just 2 buttons, start, select, and a D-pad. This console was 4 buttons, start, select, D-pad, and 2 new shoulder buttons, which was a new thing. So in all, this SNES continued the Zelda series, Metroid, Super Mario, and it continued the Kirby series, and it started a whole new series, which helped it win the console wars back in the 90s between the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis. And that game was none other than Donkey Kong Country. And this console also won, partly because of games like Star Fox that allowed it to have 3D polygon graphics through a special chip called the Super Effects chip. And let's check out some of the games on the Super Nintendo. Alright, we're going to start off with a big one, Rareware's Donkey Kong Country. the first Donkey Kong game since 1983, I want to say. Or, well, really the Donkey Kong release on the NES, but I don't think that really counts. But anyway, this game has you playing as Donkey Kong and his friend Diddy Kong as they travel through Donkey Kong Island to recover the stolen banana hoard by King K that was stolen from them by King K. Rool and his Kremlings. This game uses 3D-like pre-rendered graphics and is a really good game for its time. It was followed up by 2 sequels on the Super Nintendo and a sequel on the Nintendo 64. This game would later be re-released on the Wii Virtual Console, then taken off, then put back on the Wii Virtual Console. Then it would be re-released again on the Wii U Virtual Console, the 3DS Virtual Console for the new Nintendo 3DS XL, and new Nintendo 3DS line, and then would later be re-released as a part of the Super Nintendo Mini Classic Edition bundle. And this game is overall an excellent game. I've played it many times, and it's one of Rareware's best pieces of work. And let's move on to the next game. Yes, another Mario game. As I don't have many games for the Super Nintendo, we're just going to keep it clean and simple and do just 2 games for this one. And here, just your basic Mario plot. Bowser stole Peach, but with the addition of new buttons on the Super Nintendo controller, L, R, X, and Y. It finally allows you to pick up shells and run at the same time. Or well, you could do that in Mario 3. It wasn't really... never mind. But here, you had a new partner, and his name was Yoshi. This has you exploring all of Dinosaur Island. This is the first world, Yoshi's Island. And here we have the Donut Plains. Inside that mountain is the Vanilla Dome. That's Vanilla Dome's secret at the top. The Butter Bridge and the bridge levels. The level with the torpedoes is right there, but I haven't gotten there yet. The mountain, the Forest of Illusion. Sorry, drifted off a bit there. But this is the Forest of Illusion. And Chocolate Mountain. And then the Valley of Bowser's in there. There are also 2 more worlds, Star Road and the Special World. And that's really it for Super Mario World. So, let's move on to the next console. Alright, next console. Here we got 1996's Nintendo 64. Part of the 5th gaming generation. This was the very first Nintendo console to build and support 4 controllers, which means they had an advantage over the competitors, Sony and Sega and Atari, because none of those could do 4-player without an adapter. So, and there's one thing unique about this controller. Yep, everybody knows that controller, which allowed them to finally do full-on 3D games and 2D games. And as you can see in the cartridge slot, I got Super Mario 64, so let's take a look at that.
It's me, Mario! Hello! Okie-dokie.
This game follows Mario's adventures through Peach's castle to restore the Power Stars that Bowser and his minions stole. There are 15 worlds, each have 7 stars to collect, 6 mission stars, and 1 100 coin star. And the castle has 15 secret stars, totaling up to 120. And once you got those 120, you could visit Yoshi at the top of the castle, which was really cool for the time. This game featured new power-ups, the wing cap, the metal cap, and the invisibility cap. It ditched the mushroom and the fire flower in favor for those caps, but this is an overall great game. I love it. I've been playing it since I first discovered it. And that's really it. So we're going to move on to 2 more games. Three more really popular games. So let's go on to those. Yup, you know it, Donkey Kong 64. The very first game to ever actually need the Nintendo 64 expansion pack to run properly on the Nintendo 64, or to even start up at all. This game originally came bundled with the expansion pack, and due to this game has a lot of glitches that you could pull off, but they're only activated through purposely lagging the game. Most of them, at least anyway. But this game takes collectathons to a whole new level. 100 bananas specific to each Kong in each level, 5 banana medals, 2 fairies each level, 4 fairies for the main island, 5 golden bananas for each Kong in the main island, 5 golden bananas in each level for each Kong, 4 mission-wise, and then the 5th was always a blueprint for Splat. 40 blueprints. 10 battle crowns, 8 boss keys, 40 banana medals in total, 1 rare coin, 1 Nintendo coin, and 200 gold bananas. And each level every single one was Kong specific. So this game is the true definition of a collectathon. And the levels, or at least what I've reached so far, are Donkey Kong Island, Jungle Japes, Angry Aztec, Frantic Factory, Gloomy Galleon, Fungi Forest, Crystal Caves, Creepy Castle. I don't know what's from there, but that's Donkey Kong 64. Alright, let's move on to the next game. GoldenEye on N64. This is FPS games before there were FPS games. This is one of the best shooters I've ever played. That's not Call of Duty. But anyway, in this game you play as James Bond, really, following the movie GoldenEye's plot. It's your basic gun game, or your basic first-person shooter. There were 3 modes. There were certain modes: basic, agent, secret agent, and 007 mode. So now we're gonna move on to the last game. Balance things out with the N64, we have The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. In this game, you play as Link, traveling through time, collecting objects and spirit medals to stop Ganon from destroying Hyrule. And in this game, it has a special item called the Ocarina of Time, which allows you to, play songs to summon certain things. And this is the greatest game ever. This was the very first Zelda game I played, and it's downright the best game I've ever played, and I think everybody else, says that too. Because it is a true masterpiece on the N64. It was followed up with a direct sequel, Majora's Mask, in 2000 from the Nintendo 64. That game I don't have because it's expensive, and in all, it requires the expansion pack, which, since I just showed Donkey Kong 64, I clearly have the expansion pack. So that's it for N64. Now we're going to move on to the GameCube. I'm only going to show one game for GameCube to show off the graphics, and same thing with the rest of the consoles because they're CD based. But let's move on. Here we are at the Nintendo GameCube, and I'm only going to show one game for this system because it's a CD based system and it takes forever to really load games. But this was Nintendo's first disc-based system since the Famicom, with the Famicom Disk System. This was released in 2001. I have the Platinum Edition with a jet black GameCube player and a jet black controller. So let's check out the game for it. And one thing to note, the GameCube controller was later became really popular, and I had it on the wrong input, I had to switch it real quick. But this is Super Mario Sunshine. This controller with Super Smash Bros. Melee made the perfect combo, and they later in the 2010s for the Wii U remade this controller. They started up the GameCube controller production line again and make these controllers now that are compatible with the Wii, the Wiimote, and then an actual GameCube controller with the GameCube port for Super Smash Bros. That came with an adapter for the Wii U game. And hopefully they make one for the Switch too, with GameCube Virtual Console. But the plot of Super Mario Sunshine is Mario's intending to go on a vacation in Delfino Island, but an imposter has destroyed the island with graffiti, and they look like Mario, so they pin the blame on Mario and they don't allow him to leave until it's all cleaned up. And it's much like Super Mario 64 in the aspect of you have to collect items to restore power to the Shine Sprite statue, but instead of stars, it's actual Shine Sprites, which is really cool. This game's probably alongside Smash Brothers and Luigi's Mansion and Animal Crossing. It's probably one of the best. Oh, and Zelda. Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, the 4-in-1 disc, and Ocarina of Time and Ocarina of Time Master Quest make for pretty much a perfect lineup on the GameCube. This game is really good. I give it 10 out of 10 in my opinion. Alright, let's move on to the next console. Alright, here we have the Nintendo Wii, the follow-up to the GameCube and Nintendo's very, very first video game console for the home. Not a handheld, but for the home, one that never leaves home, that was fully backwards compatible with the games that came in the previous console, and all the accessories to the GameCube, excluding the Game Boy player, works perfectly with the Nintendo Wii. And here I already have it booted up. With the Nintendo Wii, introduced the Wii Shop channel, which allowed you to download more content and channels to use for the Wii, such as Netflix, YouTube, Nintendo channel, an internet browser, and a bunch of me-based channels. But this console was fully capable of playing not only GameCube games, but Virtual Console, which was a brand new concept. It allowed the Wii to play games from previous game consoles, such as N64, Genesis, NES, SNES, not GameCube, because, you know, those are disc-based compatible. And Wii's not really powerful enough to emulate GameCube. But the GameCube games work through disc because the Wii is just an overclocked GameCube. It's basically the same thing. But, you know, motion controls. We're not gonna do any games for the Wii because it's all my discs are like scratched and take forever to load. And I'm not gonna make you guys wait through that. And I don't feel like waiting through it. But I do have some of the good titles. I have Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, Paper Mario, Super Paper Mario. I have Wii Sports Resort. I have Pac-Man Party, Namco Museum Remix, and Megamix. And that's pretty much it, along with New Super Mario Bros. Wii and Mario Kart Wii. So let's move on to the last console. Sega! Yes, the only Sega console which I own and is in this entertainment center. The Sega Dreamcast, released in the late 90s, in the early 2000s, I don't know exactly when, but this controller, or this console, along with its controller, provided a perfect ability to play amazing games such as Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, Crazy Taxi, Soul Calibur, various games, very, very popular games nowadays. But the console can be a bit pricey if you want one that's, not yellowed or messed up and works perfect. And I paid $100 for this new in box. Pretty good deal. And yeah. So I only own one game, and that's Crazy Taxi. So let's plug in the controller and check this out. Be right back. That's right, Sega Dreamcast. This controller is really unique because of the VMU, the Visual Memory Unit, which allowed additional information to be displayed on screen during gameplay. And as you can see, my VMU's clock is dead, so it doesn't really allow me to save the clock data for some reason. But yeah. Crazy Taxi is your basic arcade game.
It's party time. Let's have some fun. Alright, let's go make some crazy money.
I love this game. It's a really good port of the Crazy Taxi arcade game.
Alright, let's get it on. Hey, it's time to make some crazy money. Are you ready? Here we go.
It has a killer soundtrack, and due to me holding the camera, I can't exactly play, but I think everybody knows the concept of Crazy Taxi. And that's it. That's my whole gaming setup, aside from my cabinet of games. Yep, my cabinet of games. Other than that, that's my entire gaming setup. And I keep the controllers in a separate area. So that's it. And I'll meet you guys back. Alright guys, I am back. And thank you for viewing this video. That is my retro gaming setup as of right now. I have more consoles to add, but still haven't added them yet. I am working on it. I have to get more audio-video equipment for that. But in the coming future, probably later on, a couple days from now, I will be doing a Minecraft video. So if you guys want to see that, it'll be up probably in a couple days. And sorry for the shaky camera and stuff. I lost my tripod. I'm a disappointment. Well, that was my gaming setup. I apologize for the shaky camera and drifting off a bit. My fault for losing the tripod. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And remember, new video schedule: Monday Minecraft, Wednesday retro gaming or gaming in general, and Saturday whatever I want it to be. And maybe in the days in between, random videos here and there. But that's pretty much it. See you guys in the next video. Awesome Gamer 197 signing out. Stay awesome, my dude.